Oh, fuck, this is going to be tough. Well, after some technical mumbo-jumbo and idiocy on my part, it is the 4th episode of the No Holds Barred podcast with Justin and Nick. We have changed recording locales from just my basement to now my cellar.
Yay! We're moving up in the world.
Exactly. We're moving, from the looks of things around here, we're moving down the world, sir. Anyways, yes, No Holds Barred podcast, Justin and Nick, episode number 4. Of course, you are listening to this on the brand new channel, the channel that is dedicated to our podcast, youtube.com/user/No Holds Barred podcast. Subscribe to that shit.
All because I had a little bit of trouble on my YouTube page.
Yeah, Nick had the feds come and pound his door down, because he's just like, you're not allowed to make vlogs. And
yeah.
he was like, fuck you, pay me. Well, I didn't see him for a couple days after that. No, yes, Nick had his YouTube channel.
Well, I didn't have it taken down.
Pirated, I guess. Like,
I came home and they were like, you are monetized, and these videos cannot be. And I was like, I didn't do this.
What didn't do this at all. It just sounds more and more like it was, because like I get spam emails now from YouTube that aren't actually from YouTube. They have the exact same layout and everything that.
I checked my account.
Okay, right on.
Yeah. It was done.
That's weird.
Yeah,
that's just fucked up, sir. Anyways, we got the new channel. You also have a new YouTube channel on your own.
Oh yes, it's there's nothing on it right now, but it's FL 100011101001.
Did you get all that?
Kind of a little bit of story off that. FL stands for Fearless Leader, which was back in 1991 when the car was born.
Exactly. Now, if you guys remember, if you listened to our first podcast, which if you didn't, stop this one right now and go listen to that shit. We gave the story as to what Fearless Leader was nicknamed from the car, which we elaborated on in the first episode of the podcast. Go listen to that shit.
Yeah. And the rest, you might be thinking, that's not binary code. No, it's not. It's actually a Clutch song.
Exactly.
Which, if you don't know who Clutch is, look them up afterwards. Yeah. They're fucking awesome.
Exactly. Go listen to that shit. Exactly. So Nick's got his new YouTube channel. I'll link them in all the podcasts and everything, so people know where to get to yous.
Get to me.
So we're 4th episode of the podcast, and we got some shit that we're going to talk about.
Whoa.
I had kind of a cool thing happen to me a couple days ago.
What's that?
For anybody that follows my YouTube page, you know how I do, NFL pick shows every week and UFC predictions or whatever. I got a tweet from a random new Twitter follower that was like, dude, you were just on the radio. And I was like, all right, what? Like, I wasn't on the radio. Apparently, a radio station down in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, 105.3 or 103.5, one or the other, The Fan, played a portion of one of my YouTube videos on a segment that they do called Internet Basement Reporters.
That's big.
Yeah, and it's basically it's a comedy sketch, right? Like they look for people. The way they tagline it is they look for people with a YouTube account and a room at their mom's house. Mm-hmm. And if only they knew how accurate that was. And they put me on there talking about the NFL and everything, and they took a couple of shots and they were pretty good shots. They were pretty funny. And but it was funny because after they did that, of course, in all my videos, I pimped my YouTube and my Twitter and everything like that.
Yeah.
After they had put me on their show, I got like 20 new Twitter followers from Texas.
That's awesome, man.
I went on the next day and it was like followers 320, and it was like 300 before that. I was like, where the fuck are all my followers coming from? Well, it was from Shan, RJ, and Jasmine at The Fan in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And I had a little Twitter conversation with Shan afterwards and everything like that. They made a little fun, but at the same time, they were just like, that's epic. Apparently my delivery is, they think it was epic or whatever. But so, yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really funny. And I pimped them then on my Facebook, so a bunch of people went and listened to it. So thank you guys over at The Fan in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, for giving me some unneeded rather not unneeded, but unnecessary, I suppose, exposure in southern Texas.
I say thank you to those guys, and thank you for my mind for putting me on the radio fucking every day.
Yeah, fuck, there you go.
My mind is a wonderful thing, and also the most horriblest thing in the world. Yeah,
I think we probably both have that problem, sir. It's Movember.
It is.
It is Movember.
Woo.
Yeah, I am. I don't take in donations or anything from Movember, but I'm still trying to grow the Mo to kind of support the cause.
I can't.
No,
Because
that's
of work.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. My problem is I don't grow here, and you can't see because this is a fucking podcast, but I'm rubbing my upper lip. Like, I can't grow there nearly as good as I can grow on the rest of my face. Like, my beard will grow much, much faster than my actual mustache area will. So, I mean, it's, what, the 12th? We're almost halfway through the month.
Yeah. And
I still look like I have a little, like, bad teenage, 12-year-old sort of thing going.
Me, like, I have no problem growing hair.
Anywhere you want.
Take a look down here, Zip.
Oh,
no. Mama, no.
My face. So I'm more looking forward to next month, which is Beardcember. And I don't think Beardcember is actually attached to any kind of like charity or anything. I mean, everybody knows Movember is attached to like men's prostate cancer and other men's cancer initiatives. I think if you just go to Movember.com, you can find out about everything like that. Make a donation to the cause. You absolutely should. Whether you're a man or a woman. And I see a lot of that too. I see a lot of people talking about like, I saw one person in particular that was like, Movember is sexist because it doesn't include women.
What? Wait a minute. Some women it does.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's a good point. Some women it does. And for a lot of women, you're fucking faking it because I know you pluck and wax that shit. But yeah, I saw somebody on the internet be like, Movember is sexist or whatever because it doesn't include women. And I was like, well, there's two things the matter with that. One, the Movember initiative is about men's cancer concerns specifically.
Yeah.
Women don't have a prostate. Women can't develop prostate cancer. There's a female equivalent to the prostate, but a woman does not have a prostate. So prostate cancer is strictly a man's problem.
True.
Second of all, there are female offshoots to Movember, and I don't know if you or a lot of other people know about this, but like in November, women can choose to not shave their armpits, not shave their legs, whatever, and it's an offshoot of Movember. It's still supporting the cause, so it's not sexist in the least. But then there's idiots on both sides of the argument, because in that same argument, I saw someone else comment that like, oh well, then Breast Cancer Awareness Month is sexist against men. And I was like, what are you, fucking retarded? Men have breast tissue. Men can get breast cancer. Like,
there's always going to be idiots out there,
like just fucking retarded.
That just want to hear themselves complain.
That's
egg people on.
It's pretty well what the internet was. Not what it was created for, but it's certainly what 85% of internet users use it for.
Yup.
The bottom line about Movember is, if you're a man, try to support that shit if it's something that you believe in. If you're a woman, support that shit if it's something that you believe in. Support it by not shaving your armpits or shaving your legs, and I know that's difficult for a lot of women. Make a donation to the cause. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
But with something like Beardcember, like I say, I don't think it's actually attached to anything. I just think guys don't like to shave in the winter. Because it's like, fuck it keeps my face warm.
Yeah, it's an insulator.
Exactly.
You know, why not? Why not?
Another little kind of interesting piece of news that happened from around our area, and this is going to be more Nick's forte than mine. Glen Murray, who is a hockey player who was born in our in my hometown, Bridgewater, Nova Scotia, and it's pretty well your hometown now too, is going to be inducted into the Nova Scotia Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes, actually, it was November 3rd.
Going to be already was.
Passed.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's quite interesting, and a little bit off Glen Murray, a little bit of history of him. If nobody knows well, if you don't know who he is, he played for the Sudbury Wolves in Ontario. First drafted into the NHL in 1991. Played four seasons with the Boston Bruins.
Yep.
Traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins for about a year.
Yeah, I think he was only there for a year.
Yeah, and then traded to Los Angeles Kings for 5 years. Then back to Boston Bruins.
Right.
Now, quite a good career there. I mean, his greatest offensive season was back in 2002-2003, where he had 92 points. 44 goals, 48 assists.
Yeah, that was the season where, I mean, he was playing winger for Joe Thornton. So, like, Joe Thornton, one of the best, most pure passers for a center and for a guy his size, probably in the history of the NHL. So it was like, I think all 44 of those goals were like one-timer passes from Thornton. Like, Thornton had like 300 assists that season, but yeah.
Yeah. And just a little bit more useful, awesome information. Played in the 94 playoffs.
Yep.
2 world championships, 98 and 04, winning gold in 04.
Yes.
Which is awesome. And congrats to Glen Murray.
Yeah, it was very cool. You know, on our rink here in town, there's the big plaque on the front. It was like the playing home of Glen Murray when he was, you know, growing up and everything like that. And yeah, it was a nice feather in the cap there for a couple of years that, like, you know, we had a 40 goal scorer that came from our town. Like, it was, you know, it was a pretty big deal. So yeah, I met Glen Murray in, I think it was 96. It was would have been the year that I graduated from elementary school. He was like the keynote speaker at our elementary school graduation. So I got to meet him and I got something signed by him. Actually, I've met him twice now that I think about it. I also met him at a signing at a Subway.
Oh yeah? At a Subway.
High profile signing at the Subway up on the hill.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he did an autograph signing up there, and I got a card signed and got a picture taken with him, which I think is still around somewhere. Might have even been the same year. But yeah, so we got a signing and everything like that. I have a bit of a funny story about Glen Murray.
Shoot.
Which if Glenn would ever listen to this, which I know he won't, but if he would ever listen to this, he may not like this story, but you know, whatever. I used to travel a lot with a guy that worked as a bouncer in one of our local bars in town, and he told me this story one night about how Glen Murray came in and was, you know, just sort of drinking, having a good time, whatever. And he was caught like spitting on the floor. I'm assuming he was already drunk at this point. But he was spitting on the floor, and they went over and they told him, you know, you can't spit on the floor or whatever. And Glenn was like, okay, no problem. And like 5 minutes later, he did it again.
Yeah.
So the bouncers went over and I was like, dude, we just told you can't spit on the floor. He was like, yeah, okay, all right, okay, whatever. And like 5 minutes later, he did it again. So the bouncers went over and they were like, all right, you're out of here. And I guess he tried to fight them.
Drunken
hockey, boxing, yeah. And I guess one of the dudes just pretty well knocked him cold. So here he is, Glen Murray, making millions of dollars every year playing hockey professionally, being drug out of a bar in Bridgewater, Nova Scotia, poured into the back of a cab. Is this sounding familiar?
Well, not the fight, not the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the rest of it is vaguely coming back.
Being poured in the back of a cab. Yeah, no. And they ended up taking him home, and I guess a couple of the bouncers went up to his place the next day. Glenn had no idea what happened.
Really?
No idea. He was like, I woke up this morning and my head kind of hurt, my chin kind of hurt, but other than that, I have no idea what happened. So they told him this story, and he was just like, that's my funny Glen Murray. Again, it's not a story that I'm attached to in any way, but I just thought it was kind of a funny story that we would share. And once again, congratulations to Mr. Murray for that. Is a quite a good accomplishment.
Big accomplishment, yes.
For sure.
Yes.
You had another one that you kind of wanted to...
I had quite an interesting story that I came across.
Weird World News.
Weird World News came out of October 27th issue, actually.
Okay.
Where a 16-year-old girl in California...
I like the way the story started.
I knew you would.
Yeah.
She was
That's not legal, sir.
No. She was actually searching for reception, cell phone reception.
Okay.
And stepped into a rattlesnake nest.
Oh.
Got bit 6 times. 6 times. 1 adult snake and 5 younger snakes.
Oh, god damn.
Surprisingly survives. Took 24 vials of anti-venom.
Oh my god, that is one tough bitch.
Yup.
Wow. 24 vials of anti-venom?
Yup.
God damn.
Jesus.
That is nuts. That almost has me physically sick. Like, that is nuts. I'm not good with snakes. So, like, hearing that story is just...
I'm not that bad with snakes.
No?
I mean, I can tolerate them.
Right.
I can pick them up if I got a stick and jam their head down beforehand, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But my sister's terrified of them.
Oh.
So, I mean, what funny story, one day I had a rubber snake.
Oh, no.
And I threw it at her. Yeah.
Oh my god, did she kill you?
No.
Am I sitting next to a ghost right now? Oh god damn.
Yeah.
I would have killed you. I would have there would not have been any hesitation on my part whatsoever. One of the women I work with is really definitely afraid of snakes too, and so was Dad. Actually, I'll toss in, now that we're talking about snakes, I'll toss in a funny story about my dad. One time, him and my mom went up to our hunting camp, and when they drove in the driveway, there was this big fucking snake just sitting fucking smack dab right in the middle of the driveway, and the snake was looking at him, and he wasn't happy about it. So they walked around the snake. Snake didn't move. Snake just stayed right there.
Yeah.
But the snake watched them everywhere that they went, like he was turning and watching them or whatever.
Oh, really?
And he got Mom into the camp, and he turned around and he started talking to the snake. He was just like, I'm going inside for 10 minutes. I'm coming back with my shotgun. And if you're still here, it's not going to end well for you. So he closed the door. Like 10 minutes later, he got his shotgun, loaded 2 fucking honking shells in it, and opened the door, and the fucking snake was still sitting there. Still facing him, still looking at the door, kind of looking at him like, what? What are you going to do? Bring it on. So he fucking raised that shotgun and blew that fucking snake away. But I just thought it was, and he told me that story, and he was like, I felt a little macho with the shotgun in my hand, but at the same time, I was just like, please don't come at me. Please don't come at me. And that's kind of the way I would have been, too. Like, you could have given me any weapon in the book. You could have given me a fucking rocket launcher. Mm-hmm. I still would have looked at the snake like, please don't come at me. Please don't come at me. Please don't come at me. Yeah, exactly. Just like that. I don't know if you heard that car engine, but it was funny because we did. So snakes don't exactly have the best...
Not good with you?
Don't exactly have the best relationship. Last podcast, we talked about Borderlands 2 and how much fun that we've been having with it and everything. And
I haven't been playing in a while.
No, we haven't recorded in a while. I got a little lazy with putting the episodes up. I got to put up a new one. Might do that today. But I thought we would sort of take a few minutes and kind of spitball about some of our all-time favorite video games. I started playing video games with the original NES, so we're talking like... Oh, when did the original NES come out? 88, 87, 88, something like that, I think, if I'm right. But yeah, so I started with the original NES. I had the Super Nintendo. Mm-hmm. I went from Super Nintendo to... I think I went from Super Nintendo right to PlayStation 1. I don't think I had any of the kind of the in-between ones. I didn't have a 64.
No.
And ever since PlayStation 1, I've been kind of loyal to the Sony systems because I had a PS1, then I had a PS2, and now I have a PS3.
Fair enough.
And eventually I will have a PS4. Because I'm nothing if not fiercely loyal to my video game systems, I guess. But, you know... so, I mean, I've been playing video games for a long time. I don't know, but what systems did you have?
I had just pretty much Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PS2,
Right.
Xbox, fucking PSP.
Oh, yes.
And Game Boy.
I had a Game Boy, too. And you have a 360 right now, don't you? Oops.
Hello.
That was my cell phone. Sorry, folks. You have a 360
what?
right now, don't you?
Yes.
Xbox?
Yes.
All right on. So I mean, yeah. So there you go. We've both been playing for quite some time, and again, just kind of wanted to spitball a little bit about some of our favorite video games because clearly we've played a lot. I think the one that I probably put the most amount of time into, all time, all told. Yes, no, say no more. Mm-hmm. Probably Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
I think if I sat down and really calculated the number of hours that I would have put into that, given I've beaten the game about 10 times, probably, and we're talking probably 30 to 50 hours of playthrough. So we're looking at least 300 hours, if not, you know, somewhere between 300 and 500 hours.
Yeah. Which
is a long fucking time to put into, put into one video game, you know what I mean? What about you?
Longest played, I would have to say Pokemon Blue.
See, now I was never into Pokemon. I don't know why I could never get into it.
See, that was kind of the same with me and Final Fantasy.
Was it?
Yeah. But, you know, what... It was one year I got it for the Game Boy.
Okay.
And I sat down and started to play Pokemon, and it's just like, yeah.
Fair enough.
I liked it.
Pokemon Blue and Red were the original two, weren't they? Yeah, okay. Right on.
And then came along Silver and
Black.
Black.
I think isn't there a Gold?
Yeah. Or no,
Pokemon Black, Pokemon White, Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Gold.
Yeah.
Pokemon Me, Pokemon You, Pokemon Stew, something like that.
Sort of.
Right on. Yeah, Pokemon. Like I say, it's something that I've always kind of been a little bit interested in, but I've never actually taken the time to sort of get into it. I remember I remember renting one game, and it was Suikoden 2. And it was for the original PlayStation. It was for PS1. And I remember renting that when I think Blockbuster had just taken over Super Video.
Okay.
At the time that we were doing it. And I remember I rented that for a week because all the game rentals were for a week. And I think in that week I was like consistently like 5 hours a day.
Wow.
Because I'm pretty sure I put like 35 to 40 hours onto that game just in my fucking 1 week rental. That's how much, like, if I really love a game, that's how dedicated I'll be to it. Nice. I will do nothing else but put 5 or 6 hours in a day into a game. Which I know if you mention that to hardcore gamers, I'm sure, like, if Vaughn or anything is listening to this podcast, be like, 5 hours a day, you sissy. Yeah, you know, like, hardcore gamers will just do that every day, right? But, like, I'm not a hardcore gamer. I've just been gaming for a long time. Yeah.
But to move away from the amount of time that you put into a game, what would be like the best game that you play? Going from way back when to now. It doesn't matter about the graphics, nothing. It's just a game that you
full throttle. No. I think I would have to say Final Fantasy VII is probably my favorite game. That's not to say that I haven't had other games that I loved. Clearly, I loved Suikoden 2, or I wouldn't have put 35 hours into it in a week. NHL 95. NHL 95 was the first hockey game I ever played. It was for the Super Nintendo. And for my money, is still the best hockey game that has ever been made. Nice. And I know that's completely, totally wrong because it's exactly the same as NHL 94 and NHL 96, just except for the rosters. So I know it's exactly the same, and I know it's screwed up. But NHL 95, for my money, is certainly my favorite, at least, hockey game that has ever been made. You could... you could, it's just,
I like your reason. I like your reason for it being awesome.
For sure. And you know what? The first Borderlands holds such a close piece of my heart. Like, I loved that game so much. And the second game, now that we haven't really been playing it as long as we could have been playing it, but at the same time, the little bit that we have been playing it, we've loved it because it's basically more of the same but better. And
most definitely. And I agree with you. The first Borderlands is one of my favorite games. My all-time favorite, and I don't know if many people have played this, but Redneck Rampage. Yeah.
Really? Redneck Rampage.
Yeah.
Did I ever play that? Is it a PC game or was it on a console?
PC game.
Okay.
Kind of a little bit older than Full Throttle, which came out in 1995.
Okay.
Basically, it's a first-person shooter game.
Right.
Which is awesome. You get a whole bunch of guns. There's like a saw blade gun.
Nice.
And and shit like that. It's just, I loved it back then, and I love it now.
I feel like I've played this, but at the same time, I can't pick it up. But I feel like I may have at least tried to play it. Let's see. What are some other ones? Here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about wrestling later because we have a pay-per-view coming up. But since we're both wrestling fans, what's your favorite wrestling game of all time?
Wrestling game of all time?
Because I know between us, we've probably played quite a few.
It has to be for the PS2. It's Raw vs. SmackDown. Shut your mouth.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't part of the Raw versus SmackDown series. I think it was just SmackDown. It was the one that came right before SmackDown versus Raw, like for the first one.
Okay, yes,
right on.
Because I have both, and it kind of gets me confused.
Yeah, fair enough. It had Brock Lesnar on the cover, didn't it?
Yes.
Was it?
It had 3, but
okay.
Brock Lesnar was Brock.
We got to do that every episode.
The middle one.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. I didn't really get back into wrestling games until the SmackDown vs. Raw series, which was like the first one, which I think was like 2005 or something like that, when the first, or 2004 or something like that. Like, I had played like the SNES ones, like Super WrestleMania and Fire Pro Wrestling, which is amazing. Fire Pro Wrestling, Saturday Night Slam Masters was great too. Those are like Japanese games, so they're more they're not really at all realistic. They're more like everything short of like throwing a fireball in a wrestling match, like it's which they actually do with fire paper. But I mean, so those ones I really liked. Like I said, the first SmackDown versus Raw. Yeah. Because it just it enhanced the storyline mode so much that it was just very cool.
I mean, I kind of miss. I forget which one was it, but which was the one that you could do the intros and stuff like that.
Like when you could like do your own entrances.
Yeah.
I think that started with. The create an entrance mode. I think started with 2007.
Yeah.
I want to say.
We'll say that.
Something like that. But yeah, when they brought in like the sort of create an entrance mode, that was
awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool concept.
Back when you did all our profiles, I wish you kept those.
Oh yeah, I wish you could have. If they would have set up a system where you could just import them, like from game to game to game to game, I'd still have them. Like, I mean, I'm apparently getting WWE 13 for Christmas.
It's going to be epic.
Which is going to be great, and I think
I kind of hope that the characters in it aren't as blotchy as the fucking commercials.
Yeah, I know. They're kind of... They're a little blocky, eh? Which is so funny, because I remember fucking WrestleMania 2000 coming out for N64, where guys are basically just cubes. Like, they're just like fucking like a muscle will just be a block of like 80 pixels by 80 pixels. And we were like, oh my god, it looks so good. Like, you know, I remember us flipping out about how cool WrestleMania 2000 looked.
Back in the day,
it was good stuff. Or WCW versus NWO World Tour. I put a lot of hours into that one too, because there was so many different like game modes, and they had a bunch of like wrestlers from Japan and everything, which is really, really cool. But what I like now about the WWE series, which is just WWE 12 and now WWE 13. Is how customizable everything is. Like, you can make your own like rings and make your own arenas and everything like that. Like, I mean, I've seen people do like flawlessly perfect like Ring of Honor arenas and New Japan Pro Wrestling and just like stuff that people customize, right? Yeah. So it would be great to do to just kind of make our backyard wrestling federation that we had back in the day really come to life. And you could kind of do it a little bit in WrestleMania 2000, like with the create a pay-per-view mode. Yeah. Like, you can name it, you can give it a location and everything, but at the same time it's still like all WWE labeled, right? Yeah. Well, this you can like make your own labels and everything like that. So it's so immersive, and it's so it puts so much attention to detail that I fucking can't wait to get it.
It's gonna be epic.
Yeah, and every review that I've been hearing from people that already have the game is just like, dude, you got to get this game. Like, I gotta wait till Christmas. Stop it. Like, fuck. A couple other video games to kind of mention.
Video games.
Yeah. Now there was a
Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Racing games are something that I've always kind of enjoyed.
Actually, I got into the Hot Pursuit series back in high school. Had it from my PC.
Oh, right.
Then they came out for the Xbox recently.
Always a good decision to move your PC games, which run perfectly, onto consoles, which are much more limited.
Yes. Anyways. And I go, Need for Speed. I haven't played this in a while. Fucking yoink! Cops. Just like in real life.
Exactly. For you. I tell you, probably my favorite racing game of all time, and this is going to make me look like a hipster, but F-Zero. Like, I mean, I always fall back on F-Zero because it was so much fun, and of course Super Nintendo, and I have it on an emulator, and I just fucking play it all the time. Nice. I still play it all the time. That's how much I liked it. Okay, on Tuesday, week ago tomorrow.
Yes.
The states had their $3 billion jerk-off parade. They called it an election.
Yay.
Yeah, and Barack Obama, of course, was reelected. Of course, that's still all... And it's kind of what I keep telling people, like, they're all still projections. Now, I mean, they can be really, 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 really accurate projections. Yeah. But for another 3 or 4 days until, like, all the absentee ballots are counted and everything, they're double-checked and everything like that, they're still projections. You know what I mean? Like,
still don't know for sure.
No, they can be like 99.9% accurate, but there's always like that 0.1%. I remind everyone of the year 2000 when all the major news outlets say we project Al Gore is going to be the president, and then Florida flopped and Bush won supposedly.
Kind of it reminds me of that commercial where they're standing like around the barbecue, and the guy goes, well, I'm 99.9% sure, and the other guy goes, so you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's exactly the fucking point. Like, we can project until the cows come home, but for another couple of days until every single ballot is voted, or every single ballot is counted and counted again, we are not 1,000% sure that Barack Obama won the election. But we can probably safely say that Barack Obama won the election.
Pretty sure.
And it was a fucking disaster for Republicans. Not just the fact that Obama won, but the fact that, like, they lost ground in places they didn't think they were going to lose ground. I think they only picked up 1 or 2 states from the previous election. Oh, yeah. But they lost other ones, sort of pivotal sort of fucking states, right? I was saying sort of all through the election, I find it strange a little bit that, and it's not just in the States, it's in Canada too. I find it strange that we support electoral systems, and this is going to be me getting on my fucking political soapbox, so I apologize, but bear with me because it'll only be a few minutes. I find it weird that we support electoral systems where someone can lose the popular vote and still win an election. You know what I mean? Like, you can have less than 50% of people vote for you, or if you're in a multi-party system, have fewer total votes than one of your opponents, but still win. I don't understand I don't understand why we would sort of support a system that kind of allows that to happen. And again, if you don't think it happens, I mentioned this on my Facebook, it's happened 8 times between Canada and the US. 4 times in the States, 4 times in Canada. So it does happen where the person that gets the popular vote doesn't win the election because of the way that the elections are set up.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I know maybe you say that they're set up because of the way population is or whatever, you know. I don't have a better system for elections in North America. I don't have a better idea for a system. I'm simply taking the time to point out that I just find it weird. Because, like, in the Electoral College down in the States, California has 55 Electoral College votes. And you only need 270 to be president. But that's one state of 52 that has a fifth of what you need, which bothers me because it doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't make sense anyways.
Well, yeah.
I would think that I would say that you take it by either, I don't know, take it by state, whoever wins the most states wins, or you just simply do it by popular vote. Whoever's got the most votes, even if you only got one more vote, you win. 50% plus 1. Because it's just like, to win an election in the States, there's like 6 major states that you need. There's California, there's Florida, there's Massachusetts, there's Texas, and there's a couple of others, Ohio, and I think Pennsylvania. All of those states have 20 votes at least 20 votes in the Electoral College. But like California's got 55, I think Texas has 38. A couple of them have 29 and a couple of them have 20. If you win all those states, your opponent can basically win almost the rest of the country and still lose because that's the majority of the votes that you need to get in. Yeah. So I don't know. I find it kind of weird. But you know what?
Kinda.
In any case, the Democrats won. Obama's going to have another 4 years, pending no one kills him. You know what? And I don't want to sound or intend to sound racist here, but I'm going to throw this out. When Obama won the election in 2008, I remember thinking silently to myself, because I didn't want to say this to anybody for fear of acting or anyone thinking that I was racist. If I can be thought a racist for quoting Family Guy, I can certainly be thought a racist for saying this. That's a story for another time. But like, when the black guy won, and I hate even saying that, but in the States, it was a huge issue. And it was a huge issue again in this election, which is retarded because you've had a black president for 4 years. Yeah. So it really shouldn't be an issue anymore. But anyways, in 2008, when the black guy won, I remember thinking to myself begrudgingly, how long is it going to be before some idiot, some racist idiot, puts a bullet in him simply for the fact that he's black? And I don't advocate that. I don't want that to happen to anyone, much less a guy like Obama who whether you agree with his policies or the way he does things or you don't agree with his policies, seems like a nice enough guy. But like I remember thinking, and I'm so glad that it didn't happen, but that just kind of felt like the condition of the states to me. Like how long is it going to be before somebody's like, well, I'm not going to have a black president in my country because this is America. Bang. You know, because it's just like that seems to be the way that there's a large number of Americans that are still very set in old ways and set in, you know, racist mindsets. But you know what? The black guy won for the second election in a row. So,
Yay.
you know, maybe things are, quote unquote, changing.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats, exactly.
I
Yeah,
guess.
I guess. It's really, like, that's the whole fucking climate of politics nowadays, is like you take the lesser of two evils. And Obama seemed to be the lesser of two evils to people in the States.
Yeah.
Which I don't think comes as a major surprise that Democrats would be seen as a lesser of two evils up against the Republicans.
Yeah.
A lot of it because of the way that Republicans seem to have their minds set firmly on regulating vaginas. Like, it absolutely blows my mind. Like, all the comments that came out from people in support of the Republican Party, and the way that they kind of popped off at the mouth, they pop off at the mouth about things like abortion, like pro-life versus pro-choice. Yeah. Most Republicans are very staunchly pro-life. And like, if you get an abortion, you're a horrible person and you're going to hell. And these comments about rape, like, one person said that, like, well, you know, if a woman, this was about rape and pregnancy. It was like, well, you know, if a woman is getting legitimately raped, the uterus has a way of shutting itself down to prevent pregnancy.
That's a load of shit.
That's a load of shit. He's like, I've talked to doctors that have told me, what, in Cambodia? Where are you talking to these doctors? Where did they get their medical degrees? Like, what? That is retarded.
Me the degree was written on a napkin.
Yeah. It was on the back of a McDonald's placemat. Like, I mean, there's where
it was drawn in pencil. I think maybe a red crayon.
Yeah, the signature was written backwards in red crayon. Like, who in their right mind with a medical degree would say something like that? That it makes no sense. It's one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That, like, I mean, like, I know people who have gotten pregnant from, I know them in person, from legitimate rape. And if I tried to tell that person this and convince that person that, well, you know, the rape must not have been legitimate because you got pregnant. Like, I would expect to be punched in the face. I really would. And then you turn around and there were other people saying things about, like, you shouldn't have an abortion if you get pregnant from rape because the rape was obviously God's will. And that fucking blew my mind. I know we're at like 43 minutes here, so I'm gonna I gotta sort of cut it off, but just like that just fucking blew my mind. Like, rape as God's will. What loving God would allow something like that to happen? That's all that I'll say about it. Obama won the election. If I had a vote in the States and if I was actually going to vote in the election, he would have been who I probably would have voted for president. So there you go. There was another sort of political thing I wanted to talk about here, but we can probably save that for the next time because they'll still be going on.
Oh, yeah.
Have you've heard those? Well, maybe we'll take a minute. Our country is strange. I feel like our country, the people that are running our country, which is, of course, the Conservative Party, I feel like they have penis envy of, like, every other party. Like, they've got a majority government. They have a government where, at the end of the day, they can probably pass whatever they want.
Yeah, pretty much.
But, and we can't call for, like, a vote of no confidence because that vote would lose in the House because there's more conservatives than anybody else. So they would say, well, no, we don't support that vote, and it would die. Recently on the radio, I've heard conservative attack ads against the NDP.
Yeah.
For no reason whatsoever. Like, I can't figure out exactly why something like that is happening.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about like the NDP's carbon tax and how like the carbon tax is going to make gas go up 10 cents a liter.
Yeah, we can't afford
fear. Like that, you know, exactly. That's it. It seems so weird. If they only had a minority government, I would understand that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But they don't. Their government's a majority. So why do they need to attack their opponents at all? They could just be like, we don't agree with this, so we're going to vote it down. And that's the power that they have in a majority government. I don't know why our country was stupid enough to give them a majority government, but that's beside the point. It seemed weird to me. I don't know. It seemed weird.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem to make any sense. So we got another wrestling, more wrestling talk on the podcast. Football. We got a wrestling pay-per-view coming up. We also have a UFC pay-per-view coming up.
Whoa.
And the UFC pay-per-view is a pretty big one. But we'll start with wrestling. We'll end on UFC. Because the wrestling, there's not a ton to preview.
No, there isn't. And it's kind of odd being like...
Less than a week before the pay-per-view.
It's on this Sunday.
And there's 3 announced matches.
And one has been already changed.
Yeah, one's been really adjusted.
Why?
So again, this is WWE's Survivor Series going down November 18th from the Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Which, surprisingly, the first Survivor Series was in Indiana.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's, it's the 20th?
26th.
26th?
26th annual... 26th annual Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Second longest running WWE pay-per-view in history behind WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have 3 matches that are currently... And we'll start with the sort of solidified ones before we go to the one that was totally fucked up.
Yeah.
Rematch from the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Big Show versus Sheamus. Of course, at Hell in a Cell, Big Show beat Sheamus for the World Heavyweight Championship. Mm-hmm. And now they're just simply doing it again, I guess. There's no extra stipulation on it.
No,
as of yet, anyways. Who knows what'll happen on SmackDown.
It's like going to be a slobber knocker.
Going to be a slobber knocker, JR. So yeah, they're rematching. It was a pretty good match in the last pay-per-view, but I'm just like, throw an extra like wrinkle into it or something.
Yeah.
Like have it be like Falls Count Anywhere or something like that. Like something a little extra. But in any case, so Big Show against Sheamus again. We have a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. CM Punk with Paul Heyman, of course.
Which, if anybody hasn't seen the CM Punk DVD,
yes,
best in the world, go out and buy it. It is awesome.
Yeah, go get that shit because that was excellent. One of the better put together DVDs from WWE that I think I've ever seen. So we got CM Punk defending the WWE Championship against both John Cena and Ryback in a triple threat match. And this is a perfect example of taking a feud and throwing an extra wrinkle into it. Because you had, at the last pay-per-view, CM Punk versus Ryback, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
So they didn't just turn around on this pay-per-view and go, CM Punk versus Ryback again. They threw John Cena into it. Now it's a triple threat match. It's got a different dynamic. It makes it more interesting. It's slightly better booking than they're doing for SmackDown. But anyways. This match kind of came out of nowhere. It was spawned from the other announced match on the card, which is the one that's been totally fucked up. Totally ripped apart and put back together.
Just before we get to that match, just a quick question. How do you feel about...
Your balls in my face?
Yes, but...
Little warm.
Little warm, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, but second question. Who the fuck gives a fuck what his name is referee versus Ryback next
Brad
week
Maddox.
on Raw?
Jesus Christ. For those of you that are following this whole, of course, we talked about it on the last podcast, the referee, Brad Maddox, costing Ryback the WWE Championship at Hell in a Cell. For those of you that don't know, I mean, Brad Maddox in WWE right now is a referee. Brad Maddox has been a wrestler on the independent circuit for a couple of years. And way back in the day, in either, I think, OVW or Florida Championship Wrestling or something like that, Brad Maddox and Ryback feuded.
Oh, yeah?
They wrestled each other. So they've kind of brought Brad Maddox in because he's got some chemistry with Ryback or something, but they've brought him in as a referee, and they've, like, plunked him smack dab in the middle of, like, the primary feud on the A show.
Yeah.
Before giving him anything else. I don't even know if he's had a dark match. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of fucking pressure for this kid.
It is.
It really is.
I mean...
like, it's just... It's interesting. Well, to say the least, it's interesting.
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah, and that's on SmackDown this week or on Raw?
No, that's on Raw.
That's on Raw. That's tonight.
Tonight's. Yes.
Oh boy!
Hell, I just get off at 10. I might be able to watch
that.
Exactly. Woo!
Oh boy, let's tune in for $1 million for that. See Ryback squash this jobber that's never even had a dark match.
Okay, back to Survivor Series.
Back to Survivor Series. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to call this a main event. It's kind of a main event match.
It kind of is.
We've got Team Foley taking on Team Ziggler that used to be Team Punk. Originally, after the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, actually the night after, it was on Raw. Mm-hmm. CM Punk came out and was like, hey, I defended my title against Ryback in Hell in a Cell. Mick Foley came out and was like, you had to use a crooked referee. And Mick Foley's kind of been on CM Punk's ass for the last little while. So they set up this match. Team Foley versus Team Punk. Traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Very cool. Because Mick Foley, whether you like his in-ring wrestling ability or not, can sell you the shirt off your own back.
Oh,
like
definitely.
He's so good at it, right? And this was actually something that was relatively interesting. That, like, hey, CM Punk is going to be captaining a team, and Mick Foley is going to be captaining a team, and it looks like it's going to be great. So, here's what happened. Something must have happened in one of the WWE booking meetings, or something, that they thought it was a terrible idea for CM Punk to not be defending his title on pay-per-view. Which I can partly understand.
Yeah.
I can. It's kind of a kick in the teeth to do a major pay-per-view because, you know, Survivor Series is one of the big four.
Yeah.
With WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and SummerSlam. So it's one of the big four. So it's kind of awkward to not have the champions defending their title.
Just a little bit.
At the same time, Team Punk versus Team Foley was going to be interesting. Because you think about it, you have Team Punk, Punk's actually in the match. Mm-hmm. Team Foley wasn't actually going to be in the match.
No.
But you would have Mick Foley on the outside with one team, and you'd have Paul Heyman on the outside with the other team. And they would be interacting with each other, and that would be almost as entertaining as what's going on in the ring. Because it's fucking Mick Foley on one side and Paul Heyman on the other. So it would be really... And they, of course, have history with ECW and everything like that. So it was going to be very interesting. But then, of course, what they decided to do was they decided to get rid of that and instead replace it with Team Foley versus Team Ziggler. Where in the fuck did Dolph Ziggler get involved with this?
I don't know.
I don't get it. So as the teams sit right now, you have Kofi. This is Team Foley. You have Kofi Kingston, Kane, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, and the ever-popular undefeated superstar to be announced.
Used to be Ryback.
Yeah, it used to be Ryback. Ryback used to be on the team.
Yeah.
So they haven't announced, I'm assuming tonight, they'll probably announce who the fifth member of Team Foley is.
Hopefully.
Because if they don't, either that, if you don't announce it tonight, don't announce it at all. Yeah. Like, leave it till the pay-per-view. Have it be somebody return or something. Yeah. Like, fucking, you know, the fifth member of Team Foley. When it comes crashing down, fucking Hulk Hogan comes out or something. Like, make it be a big surprise. Or have it be Austin or something. Like,
that would be epic.
That would be amazing. But if you're not going to announce it tonight, don't announce it at all.
Yeah.
Taking on Team Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler, who steps in as team captain, replacing CM Punk, who's no longer in the match at all.
Mm-hmm.
Team Rhodes Scholars, Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow.
Yeah.
I'm higher on Sandow than some other people might be, but anyways. Alberto Del Rio, who gives a fuck, really. And Wade Barrett.
The Barrett Barrage.
The Barrett Barrage is continuing. I change theme songs every week. No one knows when I'm coming because a song starts playing and I was like, who the fuck is this? Oh, look, it's Wade Barrett. Like, stick with the fucking theme song, please.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Dolph Ziggler and Wade Barrett were not originally involved in this at all.
No.
Originally, CM Punk was the team captain.
And The Miz.
And The Miz was on the team. The Miz is apparently no longer on the pay-per-view.
He's
just fucking gone.
He's on the promotional poster.
Exactly.
What the fuck is going on, guys?
Look up the promotional poster for Survivor
it's
Series.
Him looking like a queer blowing you a kiss.
Yeah, it's kind of... He's rocking his fucking S&M jacket. And, you know, it just... It doesn't make any sense to me now that Miz is no longer on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is The Miz becoming the 5th member of Team Foley and making a face turn.
That could be a possibility.
That could be a possibility, and that could be kind of interesting. But if that's what it's going to happen, I don't want them to announce it. I want them to wait till the pay-per-view.
Yes.
Be like 5th member of Team Foley. Awesome! And that will get a huge pop out of the crowd. So please, WWE booking committee, and I'm getting closer to the mic so I can say this clearly.
Closer.
You still have probably 2 or 3 booking meetings prior to the pay-per-view. At one of those meetings, please decide to wait until the pay-per-view if the 5th member of Team Foley is going to be The Miz. Okay.
Yes.
That's it. That's our preview of fucking Survivor Series, because that's all that we know that's on the card at this point.
Most absolutely.
Absolutely. So I think what we'll do is we will end this on just a very quick preview of UFC 154. UFC 154 going down in, I believe, Montreal. Yep, Bell Center from Montreal, Quebec. And what a surprise, George St. Pierre's in the main event. Seems like every time they go to Montreal, GSP's in the main event. Or every time GSP fights, they go to Montreal. I'm, of course, going to be doing a full-blown preview video for this, so I don't want to go too far into it. A couple of interesting fights on the card. The co-main event at welterweights, Martin Kampmann and Johnny Hendricks. Mm-hmm. And these Martin Kampmann and Johnny Hendricks, 2 guys that can finish the fight from anywhere. They can finish the fight standing. They can finish it grappling. They both have multiple submission and knockout wins. I think Johnny Hendricks has multiple submission wins. I know Kampmann does. Now I'm going to have to double check. Give me a moment. Kampmann's got 7 wins by submission. Hendricks I might be a little bit scared of. Well, he's got 1. He's got a submission win, so it's all good. Yay, Johnny Hendricks. Yeah, so I mean that's going to be a fantastic fight, and that's probably got Fight of the Night written all over it there. You got some other decent fights: Francis Carmon versus Tom Lawler, Nick Ring, who's Canadian, against Costa Philippou. I think that's going to be a great fight. Mark Hominick against Pablo Garza. Hominick probably fighting for his job. I think he's lost 3 or 4 fights in a row.
Nice.
Other Canadians you got on the card. You got fucking Patrick Cote's back, Mark Bocek, Sam Stout, John McDessie, Antonio Carvalho. So you got quite a few Canadian fights on the card. But, of course, the main draw on this card is, of course, going to be GSP. Mm-hmm. Not only for the fact that it's in Montreal, but for the fact that GSP, even though he hasn't fought in over a year, fighting for the first time since April 2011, is still probably one of the 5 best draws in UFC. Like, I mean, you put a George St. Pierre fight on a card, people are going to buy the pay-per-view. And they've put a good pay-per-view around it. So that's kind of nice. GSP and Carlos Condit to unify the welterweight title. Of course, with GSP's injury, there was a fight between Carlos Condit and Nick Diaz, and that was for the interim title, which Carlos Condit won. I didn't think Condit won the fight. I thought Diaz won the fight, but I'm a Diaz homer, so it's hard to take what I say seriously. I don't think Condit has anything for GSP. I really, really don't. And it's not that I think, GSP is this world beater. I just think GSP is very, very good at what he does. Probably the best mixed martial arts wrestling in mixed martial arts. Because his takedown defense is phenomenal. His top wrestling is phenomenal. If he puts guys on the ground, he can keep you there. He just, I don't think Condit has anything for him. I don't think Condit will be able to get to him. Because I think GSP has a fairly significant reach advantage. I might be wrong in saying that, but I think he does. I don't think GSP has anything for Condit. I really don't. But it's going to be an exciting sort of pay-per-view, and we're getting towards the end of the year with UFC. There's a couple of UFC events left this year, but getting towards the end of the year show, which is going to be big, which is the rematch between Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos for the heavyweight belt.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have anything to say?
I don't follow UFC.
Not fair enough. Who do you think's going to win between Cyril Diabate and Chad Griggs?
Me.
Nick. So what he means is the fans. The fans win between those two. No, fair enough.
No, I'm going to jump in the ring.
Oh, all right.
I'm going over there, and I'm going to win.
You're going to win. You're going to knock.
I'm going to knock them both
out. Fair enough.
Hey, before we go,
yes, sir.
Can you post something up on your Facebook or something?
I did post something up on my Facebook, which nobody replied to. You jerks. All right, so what we're going to be doing for subsequent podcasts after this one, we are going to be doing a new section on the podcast called Ask Nick.
Yes, because everybody would like to bask in my glory of awesomeness and know it all.
Exactly, yes. And everybody loves a fucking Whopper. So we're going to be doing, like I said, a new segment called Ask Nick. And whenever we do a podcast, which is, again, usually every 2 weeks, a couple days prior, I'm going to post that on my Facebook, and I'm going to ask people in the comments section on all the podcasts to ask Nick a question. Find a question that you want to ask Nick. He is a fountain of knowledge. And the best few questions we will feature on the podcast, and we will get an answer from Nick himself.
Okay, will this be just a spur of the moment? I won't know what they are until the...
Ideally, yes.
Those are going to be, some of the...
They're going to be fun. They're going to be good. So we're going to do that, and we're going to be doing that for, like I said, subsequent podcasts. Get your questions in the comments section on this podcast, and again, we'll be picking the 2 or 3 best, and we will be asking Nick.
Yes.
Dun dun! We may even come up with a theme music. That'd be great. So I think that's probably about it for this one.
Looks about it.
We're pushing to about an hour, and do you have anything you'd like to add, sir?
How do you like my balls in your face?
Not again. It's the second time on this podcast. Jesus.
Well, I have to.
Gotta keep the balls happy.
Yeah.
If the balls aren't happy, nobody's happy. All right. Well, thanks everybody again for coming on by and listening to us talk for an hour about some bullshit. We talked some sports, we talked some wrestling, we talked some politics, we talked some Movember, we talked some gender equality, we talked some racial equality, and we talked about Nick's balls.
Now I need to go home and get ready for work.
Yeah, Nick's going to go home and get ready for work. I'm going to go back up to my room and lay on my bed.
I hate you.
Yeah, well, you don't hate me. You couldn't hate me. You love me. All night long. So, again, for myself and Nick, thank you so much for tuning into the 4th episode of the No Holds Barred podcast.
Yes.
And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Our fans suck. No, they don't. No, they don't. We love you.
Is this still on? Oh my God!